What's going on? It's your boy Sermon at Sermon's Domain on Twitter. Nobody commands social media quite like Drake does. Every release is this huge event. Go on Twitter right now and you see all kinds of music fans just stopping whatever they're doing, whatever they were gonna tweet about, and they're tweeting about Drake's new album titled Scorpion. This is a double album. One that totals 25 songs, an hour and 30 minutes of runtime. By now, everybody knows how I feel about long albums. Spoiler alert, I do not like them. Add to the fact that Drake has done several of these long albums, 20 plus songs or around 20 songs, and none of them have really stuck with me. I'm not gonna kid myself in thinking I'm still listening to Views or even More Life. Those albums to me were just long and forgettable, and so I was quite apprehensive for Scorpion when I saw the length of it. Now that the album is here, I had so many questions going through my mind. What was Drake gonna say on this album? Would he respond to Pusha T? How would he address the whole son thing? All these questions were just going through my head. I was wondering, what is this album going to mean to Drake when it's all said and done? With surprise and happiness, I could say that Drake's Scorpion is an impressive album. I still think that it's very much a Drake project, but this one is better than his last two. I feel like when I listen to the rapping on here, it's like he has something to prove. When I hear the singing is as good as it's ever been. He's always been, in my opinion, a better singer than a rapper. And I love that he's able to have both of those sides on this album. It's not necessarily one side is rapping, one side is R&B. It's just a long mixture of both. At times, it feels like Drake is trying hard to convince us following the Pusha T beef. It's clear that this, back and forth feud hurt him. He never formally responded, but I think that he took all that anger and really upped the quality of Scorpion. A lot of these songs really feel recent. Like, there's no way some of these songs were made months ago. They had to have been made in the last month, I would say. With any album that is 20 plus tracks, there is going to be filler. I want to see Drake go back to, Nothing Was the Same, where he had a real short, to-the-point album that was quality throughout. There was maybe only 1, 2, 3 songs at most that could have been taken off. With Scorpion, I already feel like this is an album that I'm going to be able to take down to a good 11 to 13 songs max. Don't get me wrong, there is a lot of good music on here, but there's also ones that are forgettable. There's also ones that just don't hit for me. If they aren't there, I would not miss them. I think for me, the singles are among some of the lowest points of the album. I can respect God's Plan and Nice for What, but they never did anything for me. I hear them, and I don't hate either of the records. They're just not ones that sound amazing to me. I'm not hyped up when I hear these songs. The same is with I'm Upset. I know a lot of people didn't like I'm Upset. I'm starting to see some people come around and you gotta hear it in the clubs and stuff. I guess. Another record on the album that I would immediately omit is Ratchet Happy Birthday. This one was just a bad song, and unfortunately it won't be taking the place of the traditional birthday song or even the best birthday song in hip-hop history. So let's talk about the guest features, of which there isn't many. Jay-Z pops up sort of unexpectedly on a record called Talk Up. I think Drake and Jay-Z have always had this rocky relationship. It's always kind of weird. It's they'll work together, and then, a year later, they'll throw some subliminals at each other. And 2 years later, they're back to working together like nothing ever happened. I like Talk Up. I think when you have two artists of this caliber, it's just a little disappointing, only because you have to like hold them to the highest level. It's Drake and Jay-Z. So they can give you a good song, but I think most people want a great song. And that's what Talk Up isn't. It's a good song. I love that DJ Paul produced the beat because I like DJ Paul's production. I like the whole like southern feel to it. It's got like a nice bounce to it. So DJ Paul definitely did his thing with that one. Perhaps the oddest guest feature on this album is from Michael Jackson. Yes, Michael Jackson, on a record called Don't Matter to Me. This one is growing on me. I kind of like it, but I'm also like, on one end thinking, is this a necessary thing? Like, did we really need to hear this short little passage from Michael Jackson? It doesn't even sound like something that Michael would have ever put out if he was still living. It sounds like something that was more along the lines of like a demo. Like, here's an idea, but this isn't like a record. This doesn't come from a song that feels like it was finished and just unreleased. No, this feels like something that was just in the studio testing things out, and Drake happened to get the opportunity to work with Paul Anka, who put this whole thing together. Now, don't get me wrong, I like the record. It's growing on me, but it's still a little weird. Speaking of artists who have passed away, Drake has always shown love to Static Major. Static Major was a great songwriter, a great producer, and I'm a big Static Major fan for his own solo work as well. I feel like some of the stuff that is out there floating on the internet is timeless. So it's always cool to see Drake show love to Static. He's on this record, very small part for Static, vocal-wise. He's on the record called After Dark featuring Ty Dolla $ign. The coolest thing, though, is that Static is credited as a co-producer on this one. And when you hear this record, and if you know Static's history, who he's worked with, Aaliyah, you know, he was part of the group Playa, Genuine. Like, you hear this beat, you think, yeah, this could have been something from back in those days. This was a really good record. I think it's probably my favorite collaboration on the album. There's also some uncredited like vocals throughout, which is kind of cool to see, because I don't think everything needs to be listed out. Like, sometimes I just want to be surprised, and so it's cool to like Future pops up right here, Ty Dolla $ign's on another record over here. Stuff like that is kind of cool to see. I also feel like I heard French Montana pop up for like a half a second. Drake also made sure to address his son on this album. On Emotionless, he drops a really fire bar that I've seen people, I don't know, people are weird when it comes to celebrity kids. And I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But the line that he said was, "I wasn't hiding my son from the world. I was hiding the world from my son." Now that's a fire bar. And honestly, a very true statement. I don't blame Drake for not wanting to make some huge like Instagram or some kind of TV appearance where he's like, yeah, I got a son. I don't blame him for wanting to keep it a secret. If you've ever been on social media, you've probably seen something weird in regards to like a celebrity kid. Blue Ivy, DJ Khaled's son. Like, there's some weird posts out there in regards to that. And I don't blame Drake for not wanting to, you know, have his son, like, his face all out there, being used as a meme or whatever the case may be. Because people are definitely weird. While that is just one line on Emotionless, Drake gets a lot deeper. Like, we really get into the mind of Drake on the last track on the album, on the double album, titled March 14th. This record feels almost too personal. I'm listening to it, I'm like, I feel like Drake's close friend. Like, he's venting to me. He's talking about how he hates the idea of being a single father because his father wasn't around when he was young, and that's something that he never wanted to have for, you know, his future children. And so now that he's here, like, this is just a really, it's a sad record. I would say, for the most part, it's a sad record. You know, you can hear that Drake and his baby mom, they don't really see eye to eye on everything. Like I said, this is a really personal record. Drake has always been personal in his music. He's always given us stories and little bits and snippets here and there. But this just feels like too personal. That's really all I could say. It's a good record. Beautiful song. But I do question if it's too much. It would be a shame for me to praise this album a whole lot and ignore the fact that Drake suffers from the same issues that Lil Wayne has. There are an assortment of bad and or weird punchlines on this album. Like, just weird and bad lines overall. Now, every artist has this, but I think it's a little more noticeable for someone like Drake, especially when I can point out several examples. He said, "Yeah, I be with Future, but I like to reminisce." That's something that I would like expect to hear from Lil Wayne. A couple other examples. "Backstabbed so many times I started walking backwards." I understand what he's going for with this line. It doesn't make it any less corny. "I'm not with the rah-rah, I am a dada." Is Drake 7 now? Like, what is this? Who approved that? Who said, "Oh yeah, this is fine, Drake"? "Only Lying I Do is out in the tropics." Only Lying I Do is out in the tropics. No comment. "Bill's so big I call them Williams." Actually, that might be a solid line. I think that one's probably the best out of the bunch. You know, if you know William is the long form of Bill. That was a weird way to say it. Bill is the short form of William. You get what I'm trying to say. If you know William and Bill, they're connected. So that's actually a solid line. I don't know if I would actually put that in the bad or weird category, but you get the point. Drake has these lines and they stand out. And I think they stand out because Drake is a huge name and he operates at a different level than everybody else. It sticks out like a sore thumb. I think that happens a lot for artists that we really like. At least for me. I know there's a lot of like stands out there who are like, Drake can do no wrong, Lil Wayne could do no wrong, Nicki could do no wrong, but as big fans of at least Drake and Lil Wayne, I can point out when they're dropping these bad lines. I felt like because of the length of this album, I should say more. But then I got to thinking, like, do I really want to force myself to keep talking about this album? I think that's a testament to the music. Like, you know what you're getting when you listen to a Drake album. For better or for worse, this is nothing different for Drake. This is good music, but this is not something so far from the norm. Drake is going to dominate the rest of the year with this album, probably into 2019. You're going to hear some of these songs all over the radio. He's going platinum, he's going triple platinum, he's going quadruple platinum. I skipped double platinum because that's a given. But you know what you're getting when you press play on a Drake album. Nothing is going to surprise you on here. On Is There More, which is the final song on disc 1, Drake says that with the release of Scorpion, he has completed his Cash Money contract. Oh yeah, gotta give him a little round of applause for that. So now it makes sense why Scorpion was a double album. Get me out of this contract ASAP. He's a free agent. So what's next for Drake? It's really hard to say. There's no like predictability in what Drake will do next. I think it's safe to say that wherever he decides to go, a label is going to give him everything he wants and then some. Drake is a superstar, and he is someone who will recoup anything that you give him. He is someone who is deserving of a huge contract. So I'm interested to see where Drake goes next, and if he'll announce something this year, if he'll be taking meetings and all that, or if it's something that he'll just kind of, you know, play the waiting game. But really, we don't know what Drake will do next. I do hope that whatever album he puts out after this one, I hope that this is the last long album. I don't want the next album to be this super long album where he's just trying and trying and trying. I just want a short album, short and focused and to the point. His Cash Money chapter was real memorable. It made him a star and didn't slow him down even when all these bad times were brewing at the label. Scorpion to me is a fitting exit that gave me some of the best Drake music I've heard since 2015. So those are my thoughts on Drake's Scorpion album. I definitely want to hear from you guys. What do you think about this album? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? What are your favorite songs? What are your least favorite songs? What do you think about the guest features? Talk to me. I want to have a discussion in the comment section below. And then like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, share the video. Follow me on Twitter @SermonsDomain. And as always, thank you for your time. I appreciate you for watching. And until next time, peace.